Alright, so yesterday we made some pretty good progress on this thing. We got the pistons in, the new rods in. We didn't video anything yesterday because there was a lot of parts that was kind of frustrating and it wasn't very entertaining for film, but basically lessons learned. These connecting rods have to be pressed, or I'm sorry, the wrist pins have to be pressed into the connecting rods there, which is not fun for anyone who's ever done it. You just gotta heat the connecting rod up with a blowtorch for a while until it's basically red hot, and then you can slide the wrist pin in, and then you have to build. So I built this little jig set of plywood. I'm sure you could buy these. I'm sure they sell them somewhere, but I made this. Basically, how it works. Let me grab an old piston and I'll show you how it works. But basically the trick is, this is all the trash that this thing's created. Here's one. So basically, what you gotta do is to get that wrist pin in, you have to set this basically in some sort of jig. But like you can see, I've made a little diagram. So we got numbers facing towards us, so numbers on the cap there. This one's backwards, but anyway. And then on the bottom I got the shape of the rod, so you can see. Let's see, I'll turn the light on for you. You can see that little part where they cut to balance the rod there. So basically all of ours are like that, and you can slide this into this jig. If you take the rings off, it slides further, but that way it sets your gap for your wrist pin. This one's frozen because it's an old one, but anyway, that way when this is red hot and you have to stage your wrist pin here, you have to hold that perfectly in the center and pop that in, and when you pop that over, it makes contact with this board here, and that sets your gap pretty much perfectly. The only thing that you have to do at that point is keep your rod dead center in between your piston there. There's no actual spec for it, but I'm assuming the nicer it is, or the more even it is, the nicer it is. Also, I had this front line here for our piston. It's a front, so that way all of the pistons were oriented right. I'm sure they sell some sort of jig like this, but if you don't want to buy it, you have leftover plywood, just get creative with it. So this is just the width of the piston here, and then this is the height before, or the height of the piston before the wrist pin, and then I just put this board to set the depth of the wrist pin coming out. So worked pretty good, and I made it so that it's kind of angled inward, so that way when I slid it in, it locked in place. So this worked out a lot, worked out really good. The other issue we ran into was our oil control ring that we got, the new ones that we got. This little wavy guy right here. On the new ring kit that we got, that oil control ring was probably, I don't know, maybe 30 thousandths too big. I don't know if it was just the wrong one for this kit or what, but what we ended up doing to solve the problem, right or wrong, what we did, let me see if I can find the gap here. Where is it? So there it is right there. So you can see where the two join together there. This is the stock pin or ring. So what we did was we basically matched that cut by cutting one notch off. So to make that downward angle there, we just cut on this downward angle, and that made it so that the ring, or that the oil control ring, actually fit inside the piston. Because these rings, these rings on top and bottom of the oil control ring are the ones that actually do the work. So that ring just sits in the piston to basically allow oil to flow and to separate those two rings. So basically, instead of waiting another round of shipping for this thing, we just decided we were going to cut it. So, and that ended up working really good. We got all our pistons in, everything smooths, or everything spins nice and free. So today we're going to get the oil pump installed, which I'm waiting on a friend to come over so we can kind of team tackle that to get that pushed in there good. That's a good tight seal, so I couldn't do it by myself. I don't have a vise, so. But yeah, so we're gonna get that oil pump on there. We'll get the oil pan on there. We'll get the head going. So brand new head, brand new hardware for the head. We also have all the lifters and the Harlan Sharp roller rockers been soaking for a couple days now. I know the push rods probably don't need to be soaked, but just got everything in there. I already primed up all the lifters, so that should all be good. Once we get the oil pump in there, we'll put the pan on, we'll fill it with oil. And then after we fill it with oil, we'll probably prime it up real good, pull the distributor and prime the oil. And then we'll get our head on. And I hope to be done assembling this thing today. Possibly be going in tonight or tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. So we're already over here. We got everything set up. Got to look up some torque specs for the flywheel. I found that it says it's 105 foot-pounds for these bolts that go into the flywheel, but I don't know that I want to put 105 foot-pounds on this thing. This seems like a pretty small bolt to be doing that. It seems pretty small for 105 foot-pounds. I realize it's fine thread and all that, but I'll probably do 70 foot-pounds with some red Loctite. That's probably all I'll do. And then been kind of watching some videos and seeing some horror stories on these things cracking, so I kind of want to just check to make sure nothing's cracked anywhere. I don't see anything though, so should be good on that. These things only go on one way as far as I can tell, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And then we got to fill our torque converter before we put it on. Don't want to forget that. That got a bunch of oil spilled on it, so that's gonna smoke real good. But yeah, we're making good progress. Sorry I didn't video yesterday. Like I said, that took a long time to try to get this stuff put together, and it would have been a nightmare to try to video that. But I recommend, if you are doing this, that you get floating wrist pins, which means that the wrist pin just floats freely between the con rod and the piston itself, and then it's retained with snap rings, so you can just put them on and off. So that's spend the extra money and get the good ones. Your time and effort is definitely worth something, so it's my recommendation. All right, I'll set you up later when we actually start working on this thing. Alright, so fix that problem, put that assembly lube on all the lifters, clean the surface, got all the oil off of it. It's already pretty clean, but then you just want to make sure there's no like standing fluid in any of those holes. I don't think there is. A little bit of oil in it, it's not going to hurt anything, but if it's like completely full, it's not good. So, and then I made some alignment pins. Just out of the old head bolts, since you want to replace head bolts anyway. So this is just a head bolt that I cut the head off of, and then just grinded a flat head in there just in case we need to. Just do them in the corners. And we'll throw them in there pretty good. Might have to pull your distributor.
get that thing out of the way.
That might be in the way. So, but I didn't tighten this, so should just. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Away she goes. Oh. Lined up on something here.
Alright. There. Alright, so head gasket's on. It says top somewhere, right? Top. Does it say top? Alright, top. There we go. Cool. And then there it is. It's so pretty. Here it comes. Yeah.
What was that?
My drill. Get your side, get my side. I got my hand under it. Are you on your pin?
Yes.
Figure out. Alright, heads on. Woo.
Yes, sir.
A win's a win. Alright. That little wire that we were talking about is capped off on this one, so it must not be super important. Another box down. Look at that. Alright. And then, so I have my special 12-point half-inch socket that I got a long time ago for this thing. You just want to put a little bit of oil in all these so you don't get them in super dry.
Get away.
Yep. Don't kick it. So the studs go on the driver's side.
Start on regulars.
Oh, let's get my alignment pins out.
Yeah, those gotta go.
There's the regulars.
Yeah, I think a couple regulars. Remember, one of these goes in with some.
Yep, this
That
front.
one.
Yeah, this front one goes in with the sealant that goes through the jacket water passage.
Don't need these dripping. We'll just.
No, just some oil on it.
So all of these on this side are just these.
Yep, those go inside the valve cover, so they're shorter. That one's gonna be a magnet to get that out. Cool. Alignment pins are out. And then this goes 25 foot-pounds, and then 45 foot-pounds, and 110 for all these except for this one. That one gets 100. you have that sealant, whatever that is?
Yeah, it's around here somewhere.
When we get to
But
this
it asks for the RTV,
one. You gotta put the water
water pump RTV on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got.
or just thread sealant.
Oh, I have thread sealant, but I got that water RTV as well.
The thread sealant should be all we need because it's just you're just sealing that passageway. Okay, so the rockers are on. It's 19 foot-pounds is the torque for all those. And then, so I'll show you. We already did it, but I'm just going to show you. This is just my screwdriver that I cut. And all you do is you take the oil pump shaft right there, and you stick this on here. And it's going to be pretty tight because you got the oil pressure to overcome. So you spin it. You can see all the oil working. And you just make sure that it works on all of them. Which it does. So now we know our oil system's primed. So we're good. Had a little leak because we didn't have the oil filter on. But other than that, it works good. We're going to throw some spark plugs in. Just because I don't think that'll affect anything. We'll get our thermostat housing on. Got to get our inlet tube on. Hopefully that won't be a pain. You can get that on with the head on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, screws it on.
Okay.
Easy day.
Yep. So got some more stuff to do, but I think it's gonna go in the engine compartment real quick here. So get the valve cover on and hide all this prettiness. It's unfortunate. Hopefully the valve cover fits.
It'll fit.
Okay.
If it doesn't, then I'll just throw it away.
You just want to make sure that your rollers center with the top of the valve here. That we have a nice good wear pattern. And if you don't, and you got a different cam, then you might, good possibility you'll need a different length push rod. So, all new pretty happy valves here. Nice. All right, engine is assembled. Looks good. It's got a lot of compression. We barred it over a couple times just to test it, and also to get it back to top dead center again. And we barred it over to just make sure there was enough clearance between the valve cover and those new rocker rollers. So shortly we're gonna figure out how we're going to lift this with the chains. He'll be back, Rudder, it's fine. We're gonna figure out how to lift it with the chains without trying to damage any of our shiny new paint. And then we got flywheel and torque converter to put on. Then after that, what we'll do is we'll bring over the hoist. Well, hoist is here, so probably hook up the engine. I'll probably wheel it out here. The only problem is we got this dirt, which makes it pretty interesting. But got this pretty much ready to go. Everything's pretty clean. Got the new engine mounts in. That should be interesting. So we'll see. So I'll get you set up here and you can watch us for a while. All right, it's game time. So we got this guy torqued to 105 foot-pounds. It was really scary hearing this stuff on the reviews, or on the, sorry, not reviews, on the on YouTube. Everyone's saying to only do like 70 foot-pounds because they're really small bolts, but realistically these are really fine thread bolts, so that the difference between like the 70 or 55 that they're doing and 105 is just
It was like
just a smidge.
not
So
even half a turn,
Yeah.
and it wanted to go.
yeah, it wanted it. So but yeah, we got those torqued. We decided to fight the fight of the torque converter from underneath the car, so we got that in so we didn't puke out all the transmission fluid everywhere. So what we'll do is we'll get the engine mounted, or actually the transmission mounted to the engine, and then hopefully it'll just magically set on these.
If not, we'll take them out.
Yep.
and
If not, we'll remove these, put them on the engine, and then use these little bolts that are in here as kind of alignment tabs, which may be
Thinking
easier.
about it now, it feels like that's the way to do it, because it would be so much easier to slide in and then have these just set
Yeah.
down on these holes.
That's what I was thinking too.
I would just love for it to somehow go in and just.
I-
I feel like those are going to hit right here.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna get in here, and it's not gonna have enough
Yeah,
like opening to get in that.
I agree.
So I think we'll probably rip those off and attach them to the engine first, and then we're gonna. This ground is kind of a nightmare. Hi, Eric. This ground is kind of a nightmare, so we got to reel that out here and put it over here and put it in. So fortunately, we don't have off-road tires for our engine hoist. Maybe someone should make that. I'm sure they do for your junkyards or whatever, but we will get you set up here and you can watch us do that. Hopefully it's goes in a little easier than we're thinking, because I'm thinking it's going to be a nightmare. So all right, engine is assembled. Looks good. It's got a lot of compression. We barred it over a couple times just to test it, and also to get it back to top dead center again. And we barred it over to just make sure there was enough clearance between the valve cover and those new rocker rollers. So shortly we're gonna figure out how we're going to lift this with the chains. He'll be back, Rudder, it's fine. We're gonna figure out how to lift it with the chains without trying to damage any of our shiny new paint. And then we got flywheel and torque converter to put on. Then after that, what we'll do is we'll bring over the hoist. Well, hoist is here, so probably hook up the engine. I'll probably wheel it out here. The only problem is we got this dirt, which makes it pretty interesting. But we got this pretty much ready to go. Everything's pretty clean. Got the new engine mounts in. That should be interesting. So we'll see. So I'll get you set up here and you can watch us for a while.